Hello and welcome to the Intuitive Wisdom for Modern Transformation podcast. This is Dr. Morgan Oakes, and I'm so excited to be able to share this journey with you. I'm a transformational speaker, a high-performance coach, and a shamanic practitioner. I'll also be your host each week as we explore together the different ways in which people really get clear about what matters most, about how they're able to take courageous and inspired action, and ultimately transform and live their best life. I know that when I hear of the stories of the amazing things that others have been able to do, it really inspires me and helps level up what's possible in my life, and I trust the same is true for you. Thank you for being here on this journey with me today, and let's dive in. Hello and welcome. This is the Intuitive Wisdom for Modern Transformation podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Morgan Oakes, and today we're going to be talking about inspired action. So, inspired action versus regular action, you might ask. If regular action is the generic brand, inspired action is the Rolls Royce. It's that top level, it's the most amazing, it's the shiniest, it's that best version of action. And it's really, I think, what most of us are actually wanting. Maybe all of us are wanting, even if we don't know it. And so I want to start with a little quote here today. This is by Brendon Burchard, and he says, "You have the chance every single morning to make that change and be the person you want to be." Again, Brendon Burchard. I think that's part of what brings inspired action forward, because it is that thing that we're doing every single day moving forward. It's those incremental changes that we're making in our life, and if it's not inspired, then that action's going to die off and we're probably not going to sustain it. And so inspired action, we all have those areas in our life where we've been doing this thing that we're just so motivated by, whether it's, connecting with a certain person in a certain way, maybe, meeting somebody for lunch, once a week for a decade, or it's that activity or that project or that hobby. And we know what inspired action feels like. We also know what it feels like when we're punching a clock, whether it's at an actual job or with somebody we know, or a certain activity around the house, or whatever that might be. So I think the goal is really how to, in as many places as possible, find that passionate, inspired action so we can be moving forward in that direction. And so I think the definition of inspiration is important as well. It's of extraordinary quality, as if arising from some external creative impulse. So it's come from outside of us. We've been inspired. It's moved through us in a certain way. And I think that we talked a lot about that a couple episodes ago when we were talking about clarity and how clarity comes to us. And, 3 episodes ago when we were talking about that bigger framework of clarity, courage, inspired action. So it's really that figure 8 that I was talking about, that we start with clarity, we take courageous action into that inspired action, and then we need to use courage again to go back to the beginning of clarity and say, are we doing the right thing? Ask that question. Are we doing the right thing? Is this the best for me and all involved? And then again, we get the opportunity to take courageous, inspired action moving forward. And so it just keeps moving back and forward. And so as we dive further into inspired action today, it's the idea that action isn't enough. It's not enough just to be in motion, because lots of people are in motion and we call them zombies. It's the Walking Dead of today. It's those people moving through life in a way that they don't care. They're not inspired. They're not lifting their eyes up from their cell phone, whether it's walking through downtown, walking through nature, at a meal with a friend or a loved one or a partner. We know what being a zombie looks like because we see a lot of it today, and it's the antithesis of inspired action. And so inspired action is about making sure you're moving in the right direction. When you have clarity, you can be moving in the direction of what you're inspired by, of what you're moved by. And then when things get difficult, you'll keep moving through them because you actually care about it. All these unfinished projects and these things that are, we're just half-hearted around, they don't get completed, and we don't keep moving towards them because when times get tough, we're not inspired. It doesn't matter enough. We don't actually care enough. And so we need to have that carrot be big enough and sweet enough that we'll keep moving towards it for ourselves. The other thing that I think is really important is that we know who we are. Self-exploration, self-development, actually taking time to consider what's true for us. It's really easy, again, to drown that out through social media and through handheld devices and through radio and TV and movies. and to the point where we don't actually know who we are. And so taking time to, again, get clear not only about what our goal is or what motivates us or what's moving us forward, but who we actually are as a person. One thing that I think works really well is doing something like a Myers-Briggs. What are your gifts and talents? For me, I realized, and this is just recently actually in my path of self-development, I've been a mechanical engineer, I've done lots of spreadsheets, there's all these parts of me that are very technical and can do the numbers and can do the math, but when you look at my breakdown and you actually look at what makes me passionate, it's not numbers and it's not spreadsheets. So it's something I'm good at. It's not something I'm really ever going to be amazing at because I don't care, because it's not my passion. I'm somebody that really likes things more like this, like sharing a conversation, exploring ideas, empowering others, learning about the world around me and exploring in that way. And so what is it that you're good at? What are your gifts and talents? And what actually makes you shine? What's that thing that you could do for hours, even if you weren't getting paid, that you'd still be motivated by? And those are the things that, if we can hone in on them and blend our world in a way where, are we doing what we're passionate about at work? Are we doing what we're passionate about when we meet with friends, family members, loved ones? Are we doing what we're passionate about when we have downtime, time off from work? And the more of that we can blend into our life, I think the more our life and our energy and our enthusiasm for life just really upgrades. So another part of inspired action is making sure it's sustainable. Doing something amazing for a week, for 18 hours a day, and then being a mess for the next week and just getting burnt out and not doing it, it doesn't actually create long-term change or fulfillment. And so is it sustainable? And part of that is having balance in your life. Do you know when it is that you're supposed to be working? Do you know when it is that you should be sleeping? When it is that you should eat? When it is that you should work out? Have connect time with loved ones, family, friends, downtime, alone time? When do you like to read? When do you relax and watch a movie? What is balance and what does that look like in your life so that whatever you're doing can be sustainable, right? Because too much work, not sustainable. And I would also say too little work, also not sustainable, whether that's for financial reasons or, mental or emotional health. Like, we need balance and we need these different aspects in our life. Another thing to look at is energy. Is it sustainable on an energetic level? How's your health? Are you eating well? Are you exercising? Are you drinking plenty of water? What does your sleep schedule look like? Are you addressing the negative health concerns that are coming up in your life so that you can really maximize and just be vibrant and energized? These are all important. And even some of the more balanced things of, are you taking time to meditate? Are you doing walks in nature? Are you getting outside? How much natural light are you getting at a time? And even adding in things like breath work. There's so many different ways to stay vibrant and energized. And it's interesting, a few years ago, I knew I was needing to up level in my life. I was totally maxed out on time. I was totally maxed out on everything I was doing. And I had really the intuition. I had a piece of clarity around doing a half Ironman. Now, at that time, I didn't enjoy running. I had never done any lap swimming in a pool, and I'd never ridden a road bike. So it sounds like a perfect time to do a really long triathlon, right? So I committed to this. I picked my coach. I stepped in, and we picked a date for when the race was going to occur, and I had 6 months to train. During those 6 months, I was busy, and I already had a full schedule where life and work and everything was at capacity. But I was able to add in the additional workouts and change my diet and do the things necessary. And what was true was I created so much energy in my life. I created so much vibrancy that I got so much done on a business level, on a personal level, relationship, creatively and physically. And I was able to move forward and do that race, which was a tremendous accomplishment. It was a lot of fun. What was most true for the entire experience, though, was it helped me up level. It made me realize what having that level of energy in my life actually did for my productivity, for my stress reduction, for all those positive things that I think we're wanting. And so what is it for you? Where are those areas that health, energy, passion can be up-leveled a little bit? And as I'm saying all this, you might be holding a place in your mind where you're like, oh my gosh, I know that this is an area that I need to upgrade. This is an area where I need to do something differently. And so we'll just kind of keep moving through this. We're not diving too deep into any of the particulars. It's going to be different for every single person. And so I want to consider for you what's true. And for some people, if they would add a 20, 30-minute walk in nature every single day, their life would totally change. Now that might be physical fitness for some people, depending on how active they are. And for a super active person, 20 or 30-minute walk in nature might not create physical fitness for them, but it might create balance. It might create a white space in their life where more intuition and creativity can come in. It might be that stress reduction. So consider what might be true for you. There's lots of tools and resources out there. I can be one of those for you if you'd like. You can always feel free to contact me through the website and ask any questions. And know that my goal for all of us is to up-level, to live that best life, because I know when I'm out in public, if I interact with somebody that's passionate about what they're doing, it's better. It levels me up, it makes my day better, it makes my interaction with them better, and I think that me getting excited by them being excited makes them more excited as well. And if I meet somebody who it's obvious they're not passionate about what they're doing, they're not wanting to be there, they're not happy, maybe they're not healthy, they're not energized, it's less exciting. A lot of times I wonder what's going on in their life, and I wish that I could help. And ultimately, it doesn't lift up my day. I think we tend to vibrate like those around us. And so it's not saying that it ruins my day, but it doesn't add the energy and the spark that somebody passionate does. And so I think the more of us that get passionate, the more of us that are living in spirit, inspired lives, that are energized, it helps level up everyone. So it's really one of my goals on the planet is to empower people on a personal and planetary level. So I think this is one of the ways. And so again, going back to inspired living, I think it's important to be effective in our day as well. Are we productive? Are we getting done what we're wanting to get done? And there's a huge difference between, wow, all I got done today was I made dinner. It took me 12 hours. Versus I made breakfast, I made lunch, I made dinner, I had personal time, I got a workout, I got a meditation in, I got 8 hours of work in. So are we effective? And one way to be effective is starting out the day right. We know that if you get out of bed and within the first hour you check your email or your cell phone or your text messages or the news, your productivity gets dropped by double digits. So if you're wanting to be productive, that's something to avoid. We also know if you're moving through and doing tasks, let's say at work throughout the day, if you take a break every 50 minutes and even a couple-minute break, get a drink of water, do some movement, do some breathing, maybe close your eyes, we know that the lights above us will tend to stress and make our eyes tired. And if our eyes get tired, our body gets tired. And so even in those, if you're doing a 50-minute break or you're doing a 50-minute work period and you're taking a break at the end of that, even for just a couple minutes, and you close your eyes and maybe drink some of that water, maybe turn on a song, maybe do something to shift your state. If you close your eyes and your eyes can be energized, it's going to help energize the rest of you. So that's another way to kind of, I think, be inspired, because for inspired living, we're probably wanting things to happen. We're probably wanting to have certain experiences. And if we're so ineffective that they're not happening, it becomes a negative. It drags us down. It's nice to have those little victories and those accomplishments, whatever that looks like for you. So in past episodes here, we've also talked about, what's moving us? Are we moving away from a pain, or are we moving towards something that's a positive? And so sometimes that moving away from pain gets us into motion. That helps us be courageous and get started. I think it's also important to have something out in the future that we're moving towards and looking to evolve into as well. So holding the balance with those. And then again, for inspired action, is your tribe supporting you? Now this hopefully is one of your new tribes. Hopefully you're sticking with us and following us and subscribing, and that we can all keep exploring this world and up-leveling together. And also, who are you modeling your life after? Who's doing it in a way that really makes sense and resonates with you? Are you mentoring with anybody? Is there somebody that's showing you what's worked for them? Are you coaching with somebody? Are you getting that one-on-one support at a regular basis or interval so that you can keep moving into your best life? Maybe it's even just an accountability partner. Is there somebody you're checking in with on a regular basis to say, hey, here's what we talked about last time. I either got it done or didn't get it done. Here are the reasons why. Can you help? Can you offer some insight? And so, again, we've also talked about who are those 5 people you're surrounding yourself with? Are they living an inspired life? Are they showing you what it's like to move through the world in a way that's really fulfilling, that's energizing them, and maybe they're motivating you to do the same? And I think it's important that we're living in a way that other people want us to be one of their 5. And I also think it's important to surround ourselves with people that we're really excited that they are our 5, because it's teaching us and helping to get us to vibrate in the way that we want. And hopefully that's in a upwardly mobile direction. So I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. I always love sharing this information, and what I'm looking forward to moving forward is more interviews. I want to be sharing what other people have done, what's worked for them, what motivates them, what makes them passionate, how they have found clarity in their life, how they've courageously stepped forward into whatever it is that was waiting there for them. So please stick around. Please continue to follow the show. I will be sharing information about where you can suggest people that might be really wonderful for me to interview and to share part of their story. So please stick with me. Let's keep moving forward together, exploring together. Again, thank you for joining the Intuitive Wisdom for Modern Transformation podcast. I'm Dr. Morgan Oakes, and make it an amazing day. Thank you for exploring intuitive wisdom and modern transformation with me today. If you enjoyed your experience, please rate, review, and subscribe to the show on iTunes. It really does make a difference. For those of you that want more information about having me speak at your company or event, or are interested in coaching directly with me, please go to drmorganoakes.com and send me a message today.